Hey everybody, how's it going? Before I get into the video, if you like the music on the channel, I've compiled my favorite demo tunes into the Demo Collection series. Volume 3 is up on Bandcamp right now, so do yourself a favor, head on over there and have a listen, guys. Cheers! Hey everybody, how's it going? This is the Mega Fuzzy Thread Lead. It's by Vitar Amps and it sounds amazing. So what you're hearing right now is the amp sim boosted by a tube screamer into some V30IRs. And what is unbelievable to me is that the plugin right now is in its default state. It's in its factory default state, which blows me away. Usually I need to tweak something, the EQ, the gain, etc., to get it the way I want, but I'm blown away by the way it is. And I'm not surprised. So the great thing is about Vitar Amps, he focuses on amp sims. He doesn't focus on pedals or cabinet sections or suites or anything like that. All of his effort, all of his knowledge, all of his skills go into the amps themselves. And that's why they sound so bloody realistic. So I'll quickly show you the chain. I've got G tune just to stay in tune. And I've got the Faux-Tin, or the Faux-Tin 808 by Augustros Audio. When I got this from Jeremy the other week, I was blown away by it. I just thought, oh, it's another Tube Screamer plugin. Yay, you know, I always like those. But this is a 14 modded Tube Screamer captured into a plugin with a few other bells and whistles. It's got a gate here and high pass and low pass stuff. And it blows everything else out of the water. This is such a good plugin for boosting a high gain amp. And we've got, you know, the plugin itself. There's the Mega Fuzzy Thread Lead. It's got a lot of knobs. You don't really need to touch any of this stuff on top if you don't want to. You can just use these two channels down below and it'll get you where you need to go. And I'm going into Pulse, and surprise, surprise, I'm using my own IRs. This is Res Barefoot 1 and Barefoot 2 blended 50-50. Yeah, some of my favorite tones ever are from the Barefoot pack. If you haven't got them, download them below, they're completely free. The only things I've got going on here is just a high pass to 80. So this is technically an update of the Mega Fuzzie Rectifier, which he's had out for years. It's a much simpler plugin. And I never really bonded with that amp, to be honest. It was always a little bit too thumpy, a little bit too crazy sounding for me. But I noticed recently he put out the Mega Fuzzie Thread Lead, which technically is an update, but it just sounds to me like a completely different amp, and the UI is completely different too. One of the main things you'll notice about Vadim Saronov plugins, apart from them looking really great, is the amount of controls you have. So just over the top, I'll go over it all. High quality, low quality switch, that's your oversampling section, basically. Preamp on and off, master on and off, input, output, self-explanatory. Then you've got this crazy section of knobs here. This is to get you more wild and crazy sounds, maybe a little bit more realism. You can make things sound like they're about to explode, that kind of thing. This is a tack knob for if you want to get more djenty stuff. It's basically putting multiple cherries on top of the cake. You don't need to use any of this stuff, and currently most of it's off. Whatever you're seeing here, that's dialed up a little bit like pulse and dynamics. That is how it is default. On most of Vadim's plugins, well, on some of them, you get the low frequency gain and the high frequency gain controls. This is basically pre-filtering before you hit the gain section of the amp. So if I take down the low frequency gain a bit, you get a tighter tone. If I boost it, you get more low end. And the cool thing is, you know, this is boosted. This is what it sounds like unboosted. Yeah, it just sounds like a rectifier. I mean, it's spot on, but if I crank the input, turn down the low frequency gain, you get a really tight percussive tone. We'll need to boost the gain a bit. So as it sounds there, you don't need a tube screamer to be able to get tight percussive chugs out of it. But I do prefer it with the tube screamer on, so I'll just put that back on. Gain, master, output. Now the master knob isn't a volume knob, really. It's to get you power amp coloration or power amp breakup. So if you just listen. You see how it's getting a little bit more mid-forward and a little bit more bloated? And if I turn it up a little bit more, you get that sort of broken up, crazy power amp section like the amp's about to go into meltdown. Which, I've got to be honest, is really good for a lead tone. The clarity knob sounds to me very much like a focus knob on some other amp sims. It's sort of cleaning up the signal a bit, so if you turn it off. Yeah, it's cleaning up some frequencies on either side. That's pretty cool. That's a cool knob. So I'm just going to check out some different IRs. These are V30 IRs captured by me. but I wanted to go through an absolute tried and tested standard, which is a Mesa oversized with a V30 in it, mic'd up by an SM57. I've got Miko 2 here. Thing is, with the ML Sound Lab plugins and IRs, the sounds are a lot more mix ready. There's a lot less low end than, say, my IRs, which are raw. So I'm just going to dial the amp, give it a little bit more depth and bass. So you might be asking yourself, do we really need another AmpSim plugin, another Rectifier plugin? And I say, yeah. Just to be clear, this is a Windows only plugin. It's VST only. It would be incredible for Vadim to start doing Mac compatible plugins at some point. Maybe one day, we'll see. If you guys email him enough and hound him enough, maybe he'll do it. I'm a Vadim Taranov VTR Amps fanboy. I love pretty much everything they do. You'll find me using their plugins on my album releases and EPs. They are my absolute favorite. It even trumps the Neural Amp Modeler stuff and the captures I've made. I think Vadim's stuff, VTR Amp stuff, sounds better than that. So I am still a huge fan of AmpSim plugins like this. As always, guys, don't take my word for it. There's a demo on the site. Download it, check it out for yourselves. Thanks for watching, guys, I really appreciate it, and subscribe if you want to see more metal related stuff. I'll be back sometime with a video on something else, so until then, ciao.